Thank you, Shirley. For this song here, I'd like to have the family come stand up here with me. As you all know, these guys are the ones that are left behind. And as a part of the healing that we do, we have each and every one of you, all of us together, one heart, one mind, to say a prayer for healing, to say a prayer for the family, to say a prayer for one another, because you guys are all here. Our loved one, our elder now, touched you in some way or another. So, I'm going to sing one song with the bell here. And this is what we do back on my home reservation, the Umatilla Indian Reservation. So, at this time, I'm going to sing one song with the bell, and I'd like to have you guys all rise. And as this song is going, I want to have each and every one of you pray in your own way. Thank you. Thank you.
Watching that slideshow, I was thinking that if you didn't know my mom, you would think, how how could somebody possibly smile that much? This cannot be real. That was fun. We're going to take a little intermission, take a break, mingle, have a bite to eat, get something to drink, and then we'll have a few people that want to share stories or different things that have written from their mom. So please mingle, and we'll come back in about 10 minutes.
Does anybody know it? It was Diana's favorite song. She woke us up at youth conferences and stuff every morning. We were all sleeping. Okay, that's why we don't know it. Does anybody know this song? Nobody even knows it. You remember your name? Okay. There are many of us in this room who were part of youth conferences and 9-day institutes where Diana was one of the adult coordinators or the cook or something. She was always involved. And she would wake us up for dawn prayers in the morning with the song, usually with a pot and a wooden spoon. So we have mixed feelings about the song. We're going to do it anyway. Rise up, rise up and sing. That's too low, I'm sorry. Come on, up there. Rise and sing. We're the people of the message we bring. Rise up and sing. We're the people of the message we bring. This is the promise day. Something like that. Happy, oh, happy are we. We are something about God's victory. Oh, rise up and sing. Tell the people of the message we bring. Everybody now, rise up, oh, rise up and sing. Tell the people of the message we bring. Okay, so here we are starting a portion of this evening where many of us will get to share. As Shogi said earlier, there are some pre-selected folks who have been asked to share. And one thing that really stands out about Diana is that she traveled a lot. She was loving wherever she traveled, and she made an impression. And so we are going to hear from folks from Hawaii, folks from Alaska, folks from Alsea, folks from Renton, folks from the Citadel and Lobstock days, folks from Washougal, from the Gorge, and several other places. So let's get ready to do that. I most recently saw Diana, or had the honor and privilege of seeing her on the 21st of September. And yeah, her, it wasn't a good state. She was suffering. But I can tell you this from what I saw. Anytime we mentioned the name of somebody that she knew, anytime a family member's name came up in conversation, anytime we started a prayer, her eyes would open like this, just as wide as they could go. And it was inspiring to see that. Even in her frail state, she was able to respond and to show that she was appreciating what was going on, and that to show what was important to her. I'd like to invite Marian Johnson up, who's going to read a letter from Dot in Hawaii, and then share some of her own words from her time with Diana in Alaska.
Okay, thank you. Hasn't it been a privilege to be part of this family? Yeah. Oh, wow, I'm excited, you know. I hope this happens in my turn. I love this picture. My son. My beloved son. When he comes to Alaska, I say he's my son. But here, I say I'm the mother of Randy Johnson. Anyway, I love this picture. Look at that spirit. Look at that smile. I'm not going to say too much because you already have said it. But we know that she was a special soul, a special one. Before I get into that, these beautiful flowers were sent by friends in Hawaii, and they sent a little note. I'm going to read that note, okay? Dot and Chester, I know of them. Dear friends, as you hold this loving memorial service for our precious Diana, know that we are surrounding you all with prayers and warm embraces, full of aloha. She so loved and lived life to the fullest. As she continues her amazing journey, we lift her up again and again in our prayers for the blessings she is receiving as she soars with the angels. Aloha pa, Dot and Chester. Shogi handed me this prayer book today. Guess who it belonged to? And I've been holding it, stroking it, just hoping for inspiration. And she was so full of love. And I'm going to tell you that she really, you know, she had twins, Habibi and Shogi, right? Right. Well, I'm her twin sister. Do you see the birth date there? Well, April is a little bit off, but it starts with an A. August 1937. So that makes us sisters. But more than that, as far as working with Diana and serving with her, we traveled all over Alaska. In fact, I was the first one to meet her when she stepped off the plane in Alaska with the two kids, Habibi and Shogi. And I said, I was wondering, how old were you guys when, I met you? And I said 2 or 3, and they said 2.5. Yeah. They knew. Anyway, so our kids are contemporaries of them. So I just want to say, wow, what a lady, what a wife, what a mother. Shogi and Habibi were the ones I first met. Took a little while for the others to come along. Our family moved to Mariana Islands for 8 years, and we came back, and we got connected again, because why? Love never dies, right? I mean, love, if you really, truly love someone, it's going to be there, whether you haven't seen each other for 20 years or 30 years. It is the strongest force in this universe and beyond, right? And so, I'm not going to say much because you've already heard it, as I said. But there's the Bob. Many of the Baha'is know who the Bob was. And he said, you will teach this great cause whether you are in the body or out of it. So guess what we know she's doing? And all you have to do is ask for assistance from Diana. And boy, you'll be doing things you didn't know you were able to do, right? And she was courageous, in my opinion. She was loving, she was caring, she was dedicated, laughing, joyous. That was the word I was looking for. Yeah, full of joy all the time. She made you feel it too. You know, come on, we're gonna do it. She was hospitable. I know that I met Diana, I knew Ray in Kodiak, because I used to travel over there many times before we knew Diana was going to be coming. We didn't know who Diana was, but you think I was shocked when I heard they got together and pretty soon they're going to have a marriage. And when he said, we didn't really know each other when we got married, and I wanted to say, you're right. I know that's true. But I guess enough. Can you imagine? How many years was it, Ray? 42. 42 long, wonderful years. Yes. He was a slow learner. I would say Diana was real. Okay, you know what I mean by that? She was a real, what you saw is what you got. And you didn't have to think of anything else. She was present most all the time. I mean, she was herself all the time. And so all I want to say is get ready, folks, for assistance. All you have to do is ask her for it. And she's one of the best. And I love her. And she is my sister. Thank you.
Please have Heather Backus please come up and share a few words. Heather's from LC, which is the next place that Diana and her family moved to.
So I was asked to speak about Diana, and it caught me off guard, and I felt pretty nervous about it. And I said, thanks, Mom, thanks for suggesting me. And she said, well, you just get up there, Diana's laughing at you anyway. So, which I believe to be true. LC is a tiny little town, maybe some of you know where it is, between Corvallis and the coast. And my family moved there when I was a teenager. Happened to be sort of coming out of a dark time for me personally. And I remember living in LC and sort of thinking that I had moved to the end of the earth. And my mom came home and said, oh, the greatest Baha'i family moved to Philomath. I just can't wait, they're coming for dinner next week. And I was like, whoopee, woo, okay. And the Tufts came, and I fell in love. They came with 5 beautiful, wonderful little children. And I remember just having dinner that night and having so much joy, and I think we played charades, and they were just instant friends and family like that. And it wasn't long before I was just drawn to Diana's house. I mean, you'd just be sort of driving by, and it would be like, oh, you know, I'm going to stop and see Diana because it just feels good to be there. And I'm so grateful that Diana was a teacher to me in a time that was important for me. And I know for so many others. And I've never met anyone else who is so wise, is wise, cloaked in so much fun, with a big dash of kookiness. That was just wonderful to be around. And you know, there were so many stories. I remember one time we were having a fireside at the first house in LC, and you know, it's very quiet, I don't know, just, probably candles, calm feeling, whatever, we're talking, and all of a sudden, I don't know if it was Ruchi or Rahim, but from the closet, a child's voice went, "Help! I'm in the closet!" And they had fallen asleep in the closet. And we all stopped, and this was just, and then bellowed laughter. These were common, wonderful things that happened in the tough home that are just touch us so so grateful for the Tufts family, and I miss Diana. The woman before me who spoke about how love is just continual, and for me it just feels like yesterday, and seeing those pictures just made me be there again, and it felt really good. It's good to see you all. Thanks.
After what seems like was quite a stint in LC, Diana and her family moved to Renton, Washington. And we have Betsy Smith here, I believe, to say a few words about Diana and Renton.
I can't believe she's not here to enjoy all this. I know she is, but right there, right in front of us, because she would be having such a fabulous time. She really was my sister of my heart, Diana. Loved Diana. And when she moved to Renton, I'm not sure exactly when we met, it was about 20 years ago, I think. And I think very shortly after we met, she said, "Want to go on a trip with me to Lobstock?" Well, I'm not a Baha'i, but I went to Lobstock and I went to the teepee and got to sleep at the teepee overnight with all the kids and Diana. So that was my introduction sort of to this whole Lobstock experience. And I just want to share, I also am a Virtues Project facilitator, so we're sort of partners in crime in that regard. And I just, all the virtues have been mentioned already, except I just want to say at the end of her life, I think such steadfastness and perseverance and endurance through all the hardships she suffered in her health. And I never heard her complain. And I just admire her so much. I just love her so much. I'm just going to tell a couple of quick stories. One time, my stepfather was very ill and dying of cancer, and he was 92, and my mother had taken prednisone. She was his caregiver, and she went berserk, she just went crazy and wasn't sleeping. So Diana said, well, I could come and help out. So she came to their house and stayed for a week or two. And of course, we wanted her to be up all night, in case there were problems, and she fell asleep promptly all night. She was sleeping soundly. But one thing that she did do that I thought was just so creative and fun, she needed to give my stepfather a shower, and he was a private man. So she got them all in bathing suits and got in the shower. All three of them got in the shower together. And that night I remember dancing in the living room with her, and my stepsister was also there. And for some reason we were playing Santana music and doing the hokey pokey. And Diana, of course, was leading us. And just one other quick story. Somehow my husband and I got tickets given to us to Paul Revere and the Raiders, and some of you older folks probably remember that rock and roll group. And it was at the Tacoma Dome, and we had extra tickets. So I called her up. It was like 6 o'clock, and this concert was at 7 or something. I called up Diana. I said, "Do you want to go?" And she said, "Yes!" And so we picked her up like 15 minutes later, and here she was in her best hippie clothes. And we went to that rock concert, stood through the whole concert, hooted and hollered and danced and sang, and that was Diana. Just so much fun. I also got to, because they were living, Ray and Diana, the kids, some of the kids got to go to Rahim's basketball games at Eastside Catholic a lot. And Ruchi actually taught in some of the programs that I directed. She taught basketball. She was a fabulous basketball teacher. So I got to know the kids in that regard too. So Diana, love you. I'm just thrilled to be here with everybody, and all the best to you, Ray. Love you too.
I'm not seeing our next speaker. Is Jennifer Gill in the room? Oh, she had to. Okay. Jennifer Gill was going to speak about Diana in relationship to the experiences with Citadel and Lovestock. Could we please have Jan come on up from Washougal? Jan from Washougal, there she is.
I think we need to lower this a little. Well, Shogi asked me to say a few words. He asked me if I felt comfortable doing that. And so as I was listening to all these wonderful stories about Diana, I started thinking, you know, we've heard everything that was totally in her character. You know, her love and her laughter and her love for fun and her love for the faith and her teaching and everything. And I started thinking, I think the best description for her is larger in life, in her love for the faith, in her love for life, in her love for fun, and her love for laughter and music. We didn't meet her until about 15 years ago, and we heard about Diana and Ray. Before that, because Marv, my husband, had the opportunity to be friends with Shogi down in Eugene. So when we thought we would move over to Washington, we came over to Washougal, and Ray and Diana were living in an apartment, and I was just, you know, checking out to see where was a good place to live. And one of the things she said was, well, we don't have assembly yet, but we're going to have one by the end of the year. And they had an assembly by the end of the year. And I have yet to find anybody that has been as successful a teacher of the Baha'i faith as Diana. And their house, Ray's in her house, was always open. The door was always unlocked. You could go over there anytime and they were happy to see you. And she was one of the few people that called me Janet. So one time I went over there during the daytime and the door was unlocked and I yelled in there and she said, oh, come on in, I'm in bed, come on up and visit with me. And we had a visit while she was just relaxing in bed. You know, that isn't my nature. I would have to jump right up, or maybe I'd just pretend like I wasn't there. And then another thing that she did is, and all of you know, she just loved music, and the music that was presented with the slideshow was really reminiscent of to me, of her. And so she would start, we would go over there for firesides, and she would start playing, she would tend to pick a song, and she would play it several times. I mean, not just in that evening, but we might go the next week and then she'd be playing again. We'd be dancing around in the living room and having so much fun. And so when we finally decided to find a place, and we had been looking in an area called Clark 2, and we kept going out to the Tufts and the Colbys for firesides and things. I said to my husband, I said, you know, I want to move to Washougal. And we'd been looking in Clark 2, and I said, and there were three, especially three people, none of which are with us on this plane right now. Diana, Doris Miller, and Kathy Johnson. And so Diana accepted us as part of the family, and we got to go to family dinners, and we got to meet all of their lovely, beautiful children. And it was an honor for me to get to spend some time with all of them. But I hadn't met one of them, and I said to her, most of your children have a quieter personality. They don't have your personality. She said, we haven't met Raheem yet. And then I could see there that he has her personality. But you know, I think when I look at this picture of her, as soon as I looked at it, I heard, "Hi, Janny." And you know, she is one of the people that has touched my life. And one of the things that, even though she was very powerful and she had a very strong personality and she was always thinking up fun things, she was also concerned about who she was working with. Because one time we were planning a Baha'i event together, and of course she said, "We're gonna have fun." You know, and I was ready for fun, you know, and so she was planning. She has all kinds of ideas. She always had all kinds of ideas, and we had a great time planning that. But then she says, "I'm not taking over on you, am I, Jan?" And I said, "No, you're not," because I wanted to do everything she wanted to do anyway. And I did pretty much do everything she wanted to do, except I never took a ride in her little white sports car. But Diana, I love you. I'll always love you. I love your family. I love all of you kids. And I feel really blessed to know all of you. Thank you.
Would Asa like to come up and say a few words?
Thanks for coming, and I remember when we had like a celebration where we went to her house for giving presents to each other. It was a really fun time with her, so we laughed and we played games. Every time she laughed, we all laughed. And every time she smiled, we smiled. So it was really fun. And I remember how when we go camping a lot. So we asked her if she wanted to come with us. So she said yes. And remember how they brought their big van, or their van and their dog, and it was fun with them. So, yeah.
Children were very fond of Diana, I think, everywhere she went. Could we please have Gabe come up? Gabe? I believe Gabe's going to say a few words and perhaps read a letter. Yes.
Push that mic up. There's supposed to be a roadie doing that for you, but sit down on the job. Thanks.
So the first thing I'm going to say, probably very few of you will understand, but Diana will. Chips, dip, and pop. Chips, dip, and pop. That's too long of a story to go into, but I can see her in my mind's eye kind of pulling the van over to the side of the road, us getting some chips and pop, and a bunch of us kids in the back of the van and heading off to the coast or wherever we were going. But my family has known the Tufts family for, geez, over 30 years. And I think it was probably me, my twin brother, and Ruhi that probably gave her her first gray hairs, actually, in Alaska. But yeah, I know the rest of my family, my brothers, and especially my mom wanted to be here, and they couldn't be this time, right now. So my mom actually wrote some stuff that she asked me to read, so that's what I was going to go ahead and read here. So the first one here, there's Diana Memories, and then she also wrote a poem here. So, and these were I think these were memories, well, we'll just start, because I think that it kind of is self-explanatory, but, so, Diana memories. Each person that we come to know weaves a unique pattern into the tapestry of our lives. Diana's pattern not only livened up mine with laughter, creativity, and easy friendship, but made it richer by inspiring me to remember that all things in this earthly existence are relative, and that most of the time we have a choice as to whether we regard something as negative or positive. Like most people who knew her, I have many wonderful memories, but two stand out in particular because they represent aspects of her character that had long-lasting impacts on me. When the Tufts family and my family first met in Kodiak Island in 1980, I remember being impressed, as most people were, with Diana's friendliness and easygoing manner. I noticed that she was slow to judge, had a devotional spirit, and loved to joke. Little by little, our friendship deepened, the layers of her character were peeled away. But it wasn't until an incident involving some neighbors that I saw deeper into her unique and sometimes lovingly quirky nature. The Tufts had become friendly with neighbors Dawn and Nevin, but one day a misunderstanding over something occurred between Diana and Dawn. As the afternoon wore on, Diana felt more and more uncomfortable with the idea that she had given some offense to her friend, and she felt increasingly troubled as the evening hours wore on. After she went to bed, she couldn't sleep. She decided to clear it up first thing in the morning, but felt burdened that she hadn't done something to resolve the issue right away. Hours later, still sleepless, she couldn't stand it anymore. Even though it was 2 o'clock in the morning and winter, she got up, headed for Dawn and Evans, walked right into their house and into their bedroom, woke them up, and offered an apology. Some months later in the spring, I discovered that Diana was a master at turning lemons into lemonade. At that time, we both had 4 children, which made for large loads of laundry and large grocery hauls. Because we lived in a place that had no stores or laundromats, and the power and water situation was marginal, we do our errands in town every 7 to 12 days. One week, Diana's and my need to get into town to take care of our family necessities dovetailed. But I had no transportation. Diana said, "Ride in with me, we'll go in my car." I laughed. At that time, she was driving a little old VW Beetle. We took off down the road, and I soon noticed that she hadn't turned on her windshield wipers. When I asked her about this, she said, "They're on, but just not working very well." "What about the heater then? That might help," I offered. "Nope, it's not working at all." Right about then, the descending mist morphed into rain, and Diana opened her window wide so that she could reach around the front and give the driver's side wiper a push. At which point it would lurch back and forth for a few seconds before stopping again. I saw by the looks of the sky that it would probably get worse before it got better. Soon her left arm was sopping wet and numb. It seemed like a driving nightmare to me. Diana thought it was funny. I forgot to mention that there were 3 bays, a lot of curves, and a number of serious drop-offs with no shoulders along the road. And every time we reached one of these stretches and neither of us could see properly out the windshield, I unintentionally stopped breathing. But Diana, with her usual cheery outlook, laughed and called out, "It's an adventure!" An adventure that could make our children motherless, I thought to myself. But her joy and enthusiasm was so infectious that before we passed the halfway point to town, she had me convinced that it was indeed an adventure, and I was laughing too. We did all of our laundry and other errands and finally finished our grocery shopping. I looked at the overflowing shopping carts and the poor little VW Bug, already stuffed to the gills with tanks and baskets and bags, and I was absolutely convinced it wasn't possible, even without the dog food, to get more than maybe 5 grocery bags in there. We had 11. Somehow, she defied the laws of physics. All these years later, when remembering the inside of that Bug, I still can't explain how. Of course, on the way home, I was a human pincushion. Things were poking me in the knees and the neck and the ribs, but I was laughing. It was certainly a demonstration of the proverb, where there's a will, there's a way, except with a slight Diana Tufts modification. Where there's a will, there's a fun way. And then my mom also wrote this poem that she wanted me to read too. And sorry, she read it to me once before, and we had a moment before I came out here. So it's titled, "I Have a Friend," in memory of Diana Tufts. I have a friend who doesn't bend, quite as the others do. She meets life's trials with smiling eyes and with a quirk or two. In just half a minute, she will have you by the heart, with music, prayer, and laughter, with love's unfailing dart. She cannot stand injustice. She lifts and heals the sad. Her half-full glass mentality could drive a skeptic mad. She'll stand out on the deck and hear the highway just below, but choose to think it ocean waves with wind and sand in tow. When with her hearing failing, she mistook the things I said. She didn't grieve her mounting loss, but found it funny instead. She tackled daunting problems in enthusiastic ways and claimed they're just adventures meant to liven up our days. It's true she struggled now and then to know what's just and true, has bent down with some sorrows as all Earth's children do. Yet she gifts the lost with kindness, takes in the shaggy stray. No matter what her heartache, always cares about your day. She makes me turn my mind to think what is meant to be, so full and humbly human, while a fruit of spirit's tree. If I could only keep my heart as steady to the end, I'd face my own mortality as free as my dear friend.
Logistical piece. We have a friend in the room who was blocked in by a silver Toyota with Washington plates. If you have a silver Toyota with Washington plates, could you please let our folks out? Okay, next up is Marshall Royce. Come on up, Marshall.
Sorry, Jennifer wasn't there. My memories of Diane, Citadel, and Shogi are really entwined. I haven't done this since Citadel days. As a young man, my life was not very fun, and I was kind of at end's rope, and Shogi shows up to the college that I happen to be attending, and in a sense saved my life by bringing me the teachings of Baha'u'llah. So in a sense, his mother saved my life, and I heard about his mother before I met her, and I heard it from him, and one of the reasons Citadel kind of got started was hearing the teaching trips, the teaching experiences in Alaska, and his dream was to teach around Oregon and teach our way cross country to World Congress and back, and I got to do that part of the journey, and I was a journal keeper, and about a year ago I found the journal, tattered paper, and I typed it up, and one of the things that I realized was all of a sudden I found poetry, long lost poetry, poems of mine that I'd written while I was on the team. And I'd like to share one of them that I wrote, in Massachusetts. And, I was emotional when I read it then, and hopefully I won't be too emotional now. But, it's called The Search for Love. Most of my life, I've searched for love. I've looked for love through the aid of the bottle and magazines. I've wandered after love in dark and disgusting places. I've traveled the country and even to foreign lands on a quest for love. But none of these places did I ever find love. Where was this and what was this love that I'd always yearned for? I think I finally found love, the love I've always wanted, for it is in this place. Love are these unexpected, unexplainable feelings that I feel with you. Sitting here with these incomparable, beautiful people, my new family, sitting all around me, with such radiant peace and joy. I love you all for giving me the love that I have never felt before. I shattered my heart to pieces, and I leave some of it here in this place for such wondrous memories. I give the rest of my heart to all of you marvelous people. Anything I can do or give you, please let me know, for I am here, yours to serve.
We have somebody from the gorge here. Ursula was supposed to speak. She had to leave, but her husband, Shirosh, is going to come up and share with us a few words about Diana's adventures in the gorge.
Hello, friends. Well, Ursula apologized to the family. She had to go. And I was going to go myself, but I had to go pick up my mom at the train station tonight. The reason she had to go, she had to close our laundromat. A few stories I have with Diana I'd like to share. Wherever Diana was, I felt very at home and peace. She had that present about herself. It was about, I think, 97, 98. She came to our house with her family, and she gave a fireside. And that year we had 3 declarations. She was truly a teacher. I remember she would come regularly to our community, all the way from Washington at night, and she would tutor our Ruhi class. And she was very proud of her boombox that Ray bought for her. She would bring it and she would give us a break time, and she would put her music and have us get up and dance. And when we had a correct answer to a question, she would throw a fireball, a little candy fireball at us. It was a fantastic time I have with her. She was a truly a wonderful teacher. We will miss her. And for my own life, I hope I can try to strive to be like her. Thank you.
Thank you.